Hello and welcome to episode 51 and 52, Space Education and Technology Developments in Pakistan. Today, to have a deep dive into this topic, we have with us Rabeea Rasheed. Hi, Rabeea. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Omkar. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for your precious time. This is the first time we are highly focused on some of the Asian or South Asian conversation, I would say, because we recorded like one or two episodes on some of the countries in India and related to Indonesia and some Pacific. But yeah, there has been a lot of request from my audience that I should record a lot of Asian content because, of course, I am myself from Asia, and but unfortunately, in countries like India and China, the bureaucracy is so high; it is tough to get the people from there. So I'm glad you are one of the first person, I think, kickstarting this series of talks where I'll be inviting a lot of experts from the South Asian countries because I believe uh, having the world's biggest population concentrated in these areas, we definitely have a lot to contribute in the space exploration domain. So yeah, thank you very much again for your time.
Thank you, Omkar.
Yeah. So yeah, to begin with, can you tell us briefly about yourself, like how you entered the space sector and how you ended up doing what you are doing at the moment, and what especially inspired you to pursue like the space studies and promote space exploration studies in Pakistan?
So it started for me at a very young age. I think I was 12 years old, and I always used to ask these big questions related to philosophy, like where do we come from and what is the meaning of life? And one day, my sister used to read English novels to me, and we were reading a novel together. And there was this chapter about Big Bang in that book. And I was just totally fascinated about after reading that chapter. And later on at my school, I found out that I was getting promoted to a we have an astronomy club at the school, and I joined that club. And I met the only no, not the only professional, but at that time it felt like that he was the only professional astronomer in Pakistan. My teacher Umair Asim, who really inspired me towards space exploration. And I joined the astronomy club, and I started giving presentation. And the first presentation that I gave, it was on Big Bang, and it was really inspired by that chapter that my sister used to read to me. And it all started from me there.
Interesting. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
each of us has some such a mentor who inspires us. For me also, it has a kind of similar thing I have. But yeah, it's really a great journey, I would say.
Yes.
So yeah,
And
yeah, proceed ahead. Yes.
and after that, I started giving presentations at a local observatory that was also founded by my same teacher who inspired me. And I started giving talks on astronomy. And later on, I discovered my favorite field within astronomy, that is astrobiology. And I didn't stop after that. I joined many international organizations that helped me to gain more experience and learn more about the subject. And I worked with many people and many mentors across the globe, from people from Japan, from India, from US. And I'm currently working as a visiting scholar at an organization, US organization, Blue Marble Space Institute of Science. And I'm working on many educational and outreach related projects with them.
Interesting. So it's a great journey, I would say, and I hope the students who listen to this podcast definitely take away some key points out of this journey. So, and to begin with the actual topic that we are discussing today, can you tell us how space developments began in Pakistan?
Yes, so I think it all started when Sparkle was established, our local space agency here, Space and Upper Atmosphere Research Commission. It was established in 1961, and the chairman for Sparkle around that time was Dr. Abdul Salam, a Pakistan theoretical physicist, who later on also won Nobel Prize in Physics. And in 1962, Pakistan was able to launch its first rocket, Rabeea 1. And I think it was a great start, but we saw a great decline at the same time because the political interest, especially geopolitical interest, really shifted, and due to limited funding issues. But I think as a very young country around that time, as a very young space agency around that time, it was a great start.
Interesting. And proceeding ahead, because I believe every nation to develop its technology, they also have to develop a talent pool in terms of education, the research and the development. So, can you provide an overview of the current state of space education and technology developments in Pakistan?
If we talk about the technology development, there hasn't been a significant change. I mean, there are some really important milestones that we have achieved. But if we talk about like what could have been done instead of what we have achieved, it's very little as compared to the space education. So the satellite program, it was launched in 1990 with Badr 1 and then Badr 2, and now there are several satellites for communication, Earth observation, and for gathering scientific research data. But if we talk about space education, I'm really happy with the progress that we have made, not at the individual level, but once we look at the institutes and people and astronomical groups, especially societies across the country, they have made tremendous effort to promote space education and to inspire the next generation. And I started my journey only 12 years ago when I was at my school. And around that time, I could actually count the people who were involved in promoting space education within the country. Like there were not many people. But now, if I think about it, I can actually find many people at any given institute or any private sector, space sector, wherever we go, we can actually find people who are doing amazing job to promote education, space education. And I think it's going to have very important and very important impact in the future of space exploration within the country.
Interesting. I think I'm really glad to hear this fact because even I have experienced a lot of my friends from Pakistan. I mean, there were like earlier when I came to Europe, I only hardly saw a few people, but now there is a whole lot of talent pool who are coming to Europe, pursuing a specialized education in the space domains. And this is because, of
Yes.
course, inside the country there has been some development. So yeah, you're absolutely right. We can actually see this, and I have personally experienced this because I really have a lot of friends in this industry who are from Pakistan, and some of them, of course, most of them, of course, have become now the citizen of this European countries as well. But we
Yes.
see a whole lot of talent pool which is evolving, and I think this is the talent pool is basically the base foundation of any country to scale the technology. So I'm pretty sure, like in the coming years, the country will be able to definitely in a position to contribute to the high level missions. And proceeding ahead a little bit in the space education question only. So, can you tell us how the space education has evolved over the years and in Pakistan, and what milestones have been achieved? Like, if you can give some specific highlights of the space education related programs or even institutions, that would be great, actually.
Yes, actually, because there are quite a few people who started off this journey as as a personal effort to make this change, to draw on the um, public interest towards the space education and exploration. So I can start telling you about my teacher who inspired me. He started Lahore Astronomical Society in 1995, I think, and he did everything from his pocket, and he gathered all the people who were interested in space education and space exploration. So they would meet every once in a month, and they would talk about their favorite topic or research, that is going on their related to their interest. And after the formation of that society, it is known as LAST as well, Lahore Astronomical Society. I think they started off only like there were 5 to 10 people, and now there are thousands of people. And they have also provided online platforms for so many people, those who can't leave their house, but they still want to engage with the community within the space community in Pakistan, and they want to seek any opportunity, because they offer many courses, webinars, and stuff like that. And it's true for all major countries here in Pakistan, in Islamabad, in Karachi, Faisalabad. All of these major countries, sorry, cities have these uh, major societies, astronomical societies. And besides that, there are some government institute, and we also have a space university here in Islamabad. They offer courses, they give training to students how to do research, and they have recently opened an observatory, and they allowed the students to use that telescope and do work on their research projects. So I think that is actually one of the most tremendous effort, and also a great milestone for all of us who want to see this positive change in the future.
Interesting. It's great that you mentioned about the astronomy clubs, I would say, and the programs. Can you specifically point out some of the programs which have gained traction recently? Because, like, I know some of the universities in Lahore and all who are specialized in management and the science. But it would be great if you can just mention specifically some of the institutes and programs, because we have a lot of student audience, who listen to this podcast. So it would be great for them to, just note it down.
So most of the astronomical clubs, and especially the independent clubs and societies that are not associated with any bigger institute, and they are
Yeah.
being run by people. They offer training sessions, and they also have these monthly meetings where you can go, and they help you to train yourself as a science communicator. I think that is actually one of the greatest opportunity that I ever came across, because when I gave my first presentation on astrobiology, I was only able to, engage with my school fellows at that time, and later on, I was in among this diverse group of people. They came from different backgrounds. Like some of them were in army, some of them were doctors, and like there were no discrimination, and people were just sitting and listening to you and asking you questions. And I think that is actually a great start if you want to do something in within Pakistan. One of the most common platform is joining these societies. And other than that, there are actually, if we talk about the universities, if you want to get a degree and you want to professionally get involved in the space sector, there are some departments. For example, the Punjab University here, they have their space department, whole space department, and they offer different range of courses that you can do, bachelor, and you can also do a degree, master's degree. And besides that, if we talk about Sparko also offers a different training courses and different webinars in order to help students and people who are interested to get some insight.
Interesting. And just from the perspective of the government side, because I believe educational aspect, even though the students want to learn a lot in this sector, and space, a lot of times it's I would say associated with sometimes national security as well, a lot of times. So I believe the government's encouragement is also very important. And I have seen, like, through my childhood, there is only one space agency which has been prominent to encourage its own citizens, and even the internationally as well. That is NASA.
Yes,
Even
yes.
here in Europe, I've seen, like, European Space Agency. It has recently started some of the things. It has opened for the educational aspect, but it is not as broad as what NASA has in terms of science and communication. It's again similar, in India and Australia and China. I mean, they recently, like 2015, they commercialized their space industry. So several of the nations, they are a little bit, behind in terms of like communication. So I'd be curious to know, like Pakistan's agency, Suparco, what role do they play in advancing in space education and technology in the country?
I think they play the same role as many other space agencies within the region and also across the world as well. I think it's true for them as well that they don't really play any major role. But in 2018, I came across a project that they launched named as Seed, and they had a space theme van, and they used to go from school to school to spread awareness related to space education, and they would do different experiments, and I got connected with the project manager of that project, and they were doing an amazing job, but I'm not sure if it's still active or not. But other than that, because I mean, it's such a big country, so one project doesn't really define any effort. And if we talk about the technology again, it was when Sparkle was formed, it was mainly focused on satellite research and satellite development. So if we look at that, they have made some progress there. For example, recently they launched, again in 2019, they launched ParkSat for remote sensing, and then Pakistan Technology Evaluation Satellite for Earth observation. But other than that, um, to promote the technology, to bring public awareness, to encourage people to get involved in the space research, I haven't really seen any significant change there or effort.
Oh, okay. And as you mentioned about satellite projects, because I believe satellites always form, especially in the current times, uh, we have seen the commercial developments in the space industry. So satellites are looked towards not as a, a module of race between the nation,
Yes,
but every country right now, even like small nations like Cyprus and even like New Zealand as well. So even such small island nations also are looking towards satellite as something that can help develop their national economy, infrastructure,
yes, yeah.
maybe civil and local, I would say, developments that go into the urban planning. So from that perspective, are there any specific satellite projects or missions that Pakistan has been recently involved?
Yes, if we talk about different projects related to satellite or other space-related missions, so besides Rehbar and other satellite projects, uh, recently
Yes.
Pakistan launched multiple satellites with the help of China, and all of them they were focused on communication, Earth observation, remote sensing, and for other purposes. And other than that, Pakistan has also been involved with China lunar project that is actually going to bring a sample back, and it's going to launch next year in May. And Pakistan is actually working on a CubeSat for the mission with a university in China. So that is something that is we all are really looking forward to. I believe that it will help us to really encourage and also motivate people and engage them in, once we are doing something actively in a field, it's actually much easier for us to inspire people that, okay, this is the first step that we have taken in the right direction, and you could be you could do something much more major and bring the change that we are looking for. So this is something that we are really looking forward. And then other than that, Pakistan has also signed an MOU with China, and it became part of China's International Lunar Research Station. And China is going to build that in a collaboration with Russia on the moon. It's going to be a lunar base, and they're going to build it by the end of this year, by 2030. So we are all very looking forward to the opportunities that it's going to bring for all the younger generation.
Interesting. Yeah, I believe collaboration is something that has always thrived in the space industry. And I'm again giving this example. I've given this example in the previous episodes as well. I believe there are several countries on this planet which have a lot of differences with each other. But International Space Station was one of the prime examples where two states with no common interest, that is United States and Russia, were still cooperating, uh, on a space sciences research. And I think ISS has benefited a lot of nations on this planet, not only nations, I would say the commercial entities as well. So I think such collaborations should proceed ahead. And from that perspective, as you already mentioned about China and Russia. But if you can you also tell us like how is Pakistan collaborating with other countries or international space agencies in space education and technology development?
So if you talk about like the bigger collaborations, there are some, I think, collaborations within the universities where students are engaging with the research programs, and the private institutes are actually really engaging in this and providing countless opportunities when it comes to research. I'm also planning to launch a project next year with the help of Blue Marble that is going to help people to connect with the researcher within their field, within space sector, so they can actually work and learn about different research methods and write research paper. That is something that we really need to work on if we want to bring our attention towards the space exploration. But at the same time, there are so many individuals who realize the importance of space exploration and understand that how our future relies on it. So they are actually single-handedly they are trying to bring that change, and they are inspiring the next generation. Most of that is being done by the help of space education. So I would like to name a few people who are doing great job in that. So there's Amna Salim. She's running Cosmic Perspective, and I think she introduced a lot of youngsters who are interested in space, and they want to get involved. And she introduces them to the people across the world. And besides that, there is Yumna Majid. She is also doing a great job when it comes to spreading public awareness and also inspiring the next generation. She's mainly focused on children. So I think all of these people, they are doing tremendous job, and including my teacher. He's actually working with now an astronomical group in Dubai, and they have done many projects together. And there we have this science festival every year in October in Lahore, and thousands of people from across the country come to attend that festival. And we also that also help us to get some help and attention from the international community. And I think these small yet very meaningful effort, they have bigger impact, and they are actually going to help us to improve our international collaborations that are much needed, and to grow our network. Because we really need to do that in order to bring more awareness and in order to inspire more and more people.
Definitely, I think such small collaborations are very important within universities, and I believe this is something that is lacking in a lot of countries, especially I believe in the South and the East Asia as well. But I think this has been very well cooperated in the United States and to some level in some of the European countries as well. Uh, and because university collaborations and I think in general I would say a collaboration within the national boundaries it's very important because it helps exchange the talent pool as well. Otherwise what happens is only the creamless students get into the prime institutes, and the rest of the people are left behind, and you are left with only handful of the experts in the industry. So I believe it is very much important in this way. And it's really great that you mention a lot of individuals who are contributing to these efforts. I hope the students who are listening to this episode will be taking away a lot of key aspects and will be able to connect with them as well for the guidance. To proceed ahead, what opportunities from your perspective exist for young enthusiasts to get involved in space entrepreneurship in Pakistan? I'm asking this question not from a perspective of, whether Pakistan has already an existing ecosystem in commercialization of the space industry, but also from an aspect where is there a spark within the youngsters to at least start something of their own in the space industry, or possibly take some initiatives in that domain. I'm not talking in just science communication, but or actually to develop some kind of systems or components on a commercial level. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that's very true. We don't have many startups, and so it's very difficult to look for any ideal or for inspiration. But there's one thing that I've seen in people around me, and I've learned from that as well, that whenever they want to bring something new, uh, they become that change in order to bring that change. And I think that's something very wonderful about all the people who are within the space community here in Pakistan. For example, I mentioned Yumna before. So she actually started her own education initiative, and she became that. She actually created the opportunity for herself. Same goes for Yumna. Same goes for many people who are doing work at at the individual level, and they have created their own startups, and they are making these changes. And yes, the spark is there. People really want to work towards the change. If I give you my own example, I started teaching astrobiology in 2017, and I was actually going to Europe to study geology because I was mainly interested in physical sciences of exploration, and the possibility of life on other planets. But I didn't get the visa, so I had to stay back, and my parents forced me to study psychology around that time, and I stayed back. But I really wanted to stay connected with my subject, with my field. So I went to a school. I was going for a regular teacher interview, and I went there and I told them that, okay, I love this subject and I want to teach it to the young students there. And initially, their reaction was that, okay, you need to give us a demo and then we will decide. I gave them a demo, and next day, they gave me a contract for 1 year. So I designed 1 year course with the help of people within the astrobiology community. I designed my own course, and now I have actually more than 4,000 students who have taken my course, and still new students are enrolling all the time. And there's only one school where I teach, so I teach to at least like 6 to 7 classes a day, once in a week. So I think the spark is definitely there. And now the students that I taught in 2017 and other students, that other people have interacted with. They have started their own little startups, and they are doing great things, and they are helping a lot in bringing the awareness and bringing the change. Besides that, one thing that is very common here is the public observation sessions that we arrange from time to time, especially all the these private societies, astronomical societies and clubs. And now all the private universities have their astronomy club, and I think that is a wonderful, wonderful change that we could never imagine before. I remember when I got into college, it was a huge struggle for me to form a astronomical club there, and because it was a government institute, and it was very difficult to convince them to do any activity. Um, but now I see all these people and all these students making this change. And even schools, at schools, you will find that there are so many schools within Lahore, within Karachi, and all major cities, and even in some remote parts of northern Pakistan, where people have these small, even small telescopes, and they would set their telescope out and they would invite the general public to engage, and they would communicate the science behind these celestial bodies, and the science behind how our the importance of sun and different phases of the moon, and if there's any planet that is visible around that time. And the response that we get from that public, I've been actually involved in outreach sessions since I was very young, and I have seen tremendous change, and I've seen people reaching out to us. Even people from religious communities, they reach out to us and they ask us question and they want to understand things. And same goes for different schools. Different schools invite all these organizations and societies to give talk and arrange these observation sessions at their institute to bring more awareness. So this is something. So I think the spark is there. We just need to give more opportunities to people. And what I've seen is that people who have the experience, people who are like professional, because of the limited opportunities here, they have to settle down in abroad, which is a sad reality. But once we if the change that is happening at the time, it keeps happening at the at the same pace, I believe that we can actually bring those people back and do much bigger things here.